Hello, my name is Thayan. I like to experiment with all kinds of AI technologies, but mostly I like exploring the capabilities and styles of Midjourney. This time I thought I would take a look at several things that affect your results. For this set of experiments I have chosen 3 concepts that I wanted to test out some things with. We will have tarot card moon butterfly, disintegrated neon teddy bear and vibrant makeup photography flower. I chose these to each have 4 words on purpose, because later on we will be looking at how changing the order of words changes the outcome. So first we will look at the reference imagery. And I will be using the same seed number as I always do, 777 for comparison reasons. Mainly the reasoning behind this is that if the seed number is the same, we can be fairly certain that the only thing that changes is the prompt itself and possibly some other parameters. If you did not already know, the seed number is usually a totally random number between 0 and over 4 billion values. So normally when you prompt without specifying it, you will get a random value from that range each time. But if you set it in place with -- seed and the value, Midjourney will use that value instead of the totally random one. It doesn't really matter when you usually prompt, but it comes in quite handy if you want to compare stuff. And if you want, you can always react to either your image grid or any of the upscales with the envelope emoji in Discord, and the Midjourney bot will send you some details about the image, including the seed number that was used when generating your image. But actually the seed number is basically depending on which compute resources are used in the background, so it's not totally consistent all the time. The best way to demonstrate is to use the different speeds: fast, relax, and turbo. They are available to you based on your plan. You get a certain amount of fast hours with each of the subscription plans. You get an unlimited amount of relax hours starting with the standard plan going upwards, but as the name suggests, it generates images at a slower pace. And turbo mode is the exact opposite. It goes so much faster, but it uses up more of your fast time. And that seems to be available also starting upwards from the standard plan. Going forward in this video I will use the fast mode for all of the tests, because that one is available for all of the plans. This one is the tarot card moon butterfly with exactly the same seed number. So you get basically the same concept, but I think the overall differences in results are basically comparable to if you just used a different seed number for each of the generations. For some reason I like the relaxed mode version the most out of these. Here are the different speeds for the second prompt: disintegrated neon teddy bear. Again, really similar in concept, colors and everything else, just basically looks like you just used a different seed number for each of these. And I again like the relaxed mode images the most. And here is the vibrant makeup photography flower. Same deal. Very similar colors compared to each other. And again I prefer the relaced mode outcome the most, which is surprising because there's not supposed to be a difference in the model. I guess this seed number is just so good with relax mode. Some time ago I made a video about how different punctuation marks and other symbols behave and impact the outcome. But in that video I didn't look at removing all separators from the prompt. So the second experiment will be to look at what happens if we do that. I kept the word order as the same, but I removed all spaces from between the words of the prompt. Keep in mind they were supposed to look similar to this as I used fast mode. The results are surprisingly different. Instead the results look like this. Where we had butterflies before, we now have ladies surrounded by butterflies, and the tarot card aspect is also not really there anymore. The teddy bears get kind of paint dripping from them. And the makeup photography has zoomed out, and I think I prefer these images to the ones with spaces in between the words. I have a theory about what is going on here. I took a look at the /shorten command for each of these prompts. Basically I think that Midjourney does look at the spaces or other separators, and it kind of assigns some importance to each word. I don't think the /shorten command is telling the exact truth about what happens there, but it gives some idea. So each of the prompts looks like this when you look at the details. I did run into a problem when I tried to test the shorten command without spaces in my prompt, but as a workaround I added the word test there. But the result was surprising actually, because the shorten command assigned the tarot card moon butterfly the highest importance. So based on this I think that this may actually then take the entire word and generate everything with an equal importance. But it behaves totally different, for example from a multi-prompt that has equal weight for all of the words as I tested out here. The multi-prompt actually brings out the default Midjourney style here that was not so obviously visible with regular prompts. The shorten doesn't really give additional insight here for the multi-prompt, so I believe that the multi-prompt syntax just isn't recognizable for the shorten tool. The third experiment will be the order of the words themselves, and we will keep the spaces in between the words this time. But the differences are basically just minimal or on the level of if you just used different symbols as separators between the words. Midjourney seems to generate stylistically very similar things with a different order of words. This might come into play more with longer prompts and emphasizing one thing over the other, but with a shorter prompt it doesn't look like it's making that big of a difference. And it also could just be the word combinations I chose, they may be just with a similar emphasis so the outcomes are really similar whatever the order of the words is. Now let's try something else. For the fourth experiment I wanted to do, I selected this image out of some that I previously generated. It was one of the tarot card images. I normally prefer really short prompts, so I sometimes struggle with creating some longer prompts. I used the /describe feature on this image and I got this grid as the outcome for it. I set the seed in place as 777 again as usual. The prompt you can see in its full form on the screen if you want to pause and check it out. The tarot card part is kind of not really there anymore, only barely visible on a few of the images. And instead of the butterfly we got the blue fairy. The shorten command shows that the biggest emphasis here is on the fairy part in this prompt. But it is relatively in the beginning of the prompt. Let's see what happens if we bring the tarot card forward. I left in the phrase in the style of and changed the tarot card to be in the front. I do feel like the tarot element is kind of more there compared to the previous. Even the shortened result shows that the tarot now has more importance. But I have always been very skeptical about using phrases like in the style of. You can see here that it is not even brought out here as an important token. In my mind they are just kind of filler text that doesn't really mean anything, and Midjourney logically shouldn't understand written language syntax like that. But that's just my opinion. Let's see what happens if we remove that. Well, I do feel like the tarot got even more emphasized without the phrase in the style of. The shortened results don't look like the importance has risen, but in reality there's more defined borders around 3 of the images. As the blue fairy seems to have a really strong emphasis, I wanted to also try what happens if we move it as the last part of the prompt. So now we get this as a result. I guess mainly now gold has a really high importance. Also tarot has a higher importance. But fairy is still there, so yeah. So my takeaway from these experiments was that the order of words means a lot and the impact is bigger with longer prompts rather than shorter prompts. I still don't think phrases like in the style of matter that much. And I still hold the belief that padding phrases like that may actually have the opposite effect sometimes when you want to achieve some results. At least with the tarot card style it was quite evident that when we removed the in the style of phrase, the importance of the tarot went up, and we visibly saw that as well in our results. I do hope you got some insight as well, and let me know in the how you would interpret these results. Do you prefer to use phrases like in the style of, and do you have examples of when that has actually worked in a way that it has applied the style you wanted better than just leaving the phrase out? Anyway, if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for watching, and let's continue prompting.